Turbo and 2K show.
What's up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that time of the week again, and I am rolling again solo here this evening. So get locked in, grab a drink, because we've got a lot of sports to talk about in a kind of a short amount of time, but got a really good show planned for y'all today. And if you see the thumbnail, it is kind of alluding to the state of affairs in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we're going to go over that game as well as a whole lot of other NFL action. We've got some college action, and we're going to talk a little bit about the World Series. I have a really cool tweet. I have a lot of cool tweets that I want to show you. So with that being said, let's get into it. And this couldn't be possible without our sponsor, the Marcellus News. Go to marcellusnews.com and subscribe either virtually or they can even send it to you in the mail. And I remember growing up, it said the only newspaper that cares about Marcellus. And that is true, unless something extremely bad happens, which we try not to make the news that often. But this is a lot of good news, and you will see the weekly article by me. And same type of content that I go over on here is what I do my articles on. So that's always really fun. And yeah, for those of you that are, and there are a handful of y'all watching, so go ahead and drop a comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell it'll tell you when we go live. And if you're feeling extra saucy, ladies and gentlemen, go to buyturboabeer.com and buy 2Ks and I a beer, and you'll not only be financially helping the show, but you will be signed up for my weekly blog. And again, that's kind of ties in with the whole Marcellus News thing. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I still haven't decided on a name for the studio here. And again, a big shout out to Marcellus News for allowing us to invade their space every Sunday so that we can do this show. But yeah, let's talk about some baseball first. The World Series is over. We have crowned a World Series champion. As much as it pains me to say, the Astros did bring that home. They won 4-1, winning the series 4-2. And Mr. Pena, the rookie shortstop, is your MVP. And it was really neat to see the Phillies go on a run. And there's something that I picked up over, I want to say it was last week. I think I heard this, and it's going to go right along with kind of some of the stuff that the 2Ks and I were talking about leading into the season and some of the rule changes. So I do want to get into that. And I did want to get into, like I said, a couple of these tweets. And this one here is by Woodward Tigers, at Woodward Tigers on Twitter. JV is going to get paid this offseason. Could it be by a team from Detroit, Michigan? And that's a really, really cool, kind of situation there. Come back for a good swan song, if you will, after being a two-time World Series champion. And yeah, it would be awesome to see him come home and coming off arguably his best season ever, even better statistically than when he won the MVP, which if you follow baseball at all, you realize the MVP for a pitcher is almost impossible. But yes, that would be super cool to see JV come back and do his thing with the Tigers and ultimately retire a Tiger. Will that happen? I don't know, but it does seem it's at least possible, which is always cool. And like I said, I guarantee there were a lot of Tigers fans rooting for the Astros simply because Verlander was on there, and they wanted to see him win another ring. And yes, I'm all for it. Obviously, the Tigers pitching staff could use someone like him. I mean, I'm pretty sure almost all pitching staffs would welcome a Justin Verlander addition, but I think it's going to come down to price, and we'll see if the brass over there in Detroit would pony up and see that. But yeah, recently here, let's jump to this one here. And I'm sorry, it kind of blocks most of that side of the screen, but I saw this tweeted a couple different times, and I finally took the time to read it. And this was originally a tweet by Alex, I think that's Albies at Albies HOF. And he says, my prediction for the next 10 World Series champions. And he, 2020 Dodgers, 2021 Braves, 2022 Astros, 23 Yankees, 24 Nats, 25 White Sox, 26 Padres, 27 Marlins, 28 Giants, 29 Rangers. Now, when you do look at this, if you look right down here at the bottom, he tweeted this out November 1st, 2019. So old buddy has predicted the 2020 World Series, the 2021, and now the 2022. He's 3-0 so far, or 3 for 3, I guess I should say. So according to this, the Yankees are going to win the World Series. And this was retweeted by Baseball History Nut. It said, bro predicted 3 straight World Series. Big eyes. And yeah, I mean, that in and of itself is impressive. Is Alex an alien? Is he a time traveler? But as soon as Future Bets comes out, I mean, look here, 2023 Yankees. I mean, you might as well mortgage the house on that one. But here's a big thing out of the Yankees camp. And I did make this extremely small, so I do apologize. Here, let me see if I can make it a little bigger so you guys can read it. Let's do this. There we go. This is tweeted by Pod on Lansdowne. It says, jumping ship as soon as they can. Sad. And if you look at this was dated, all of these were dated today. Left fielder Andrew Benintendi elected free agency. Right-handed pitcher Chad Green elected free agency. Aroldis Chapman elected free agency. Jamison Taillon free agency. Miguel Castro free agency. Matt Carpenter free agency. Zach Britton free agency. Marwin Gonzalez free agency. And the big one down there, right down there, Aaron Judge elected free agency. Which none of us are shocked that Mr. Judge is pursuing free agency, but just all of these Yankees jumping ship. I mean, if you look at it, Benintendi had a great season. I'm not really sure what his contract situation was, or if they even offered which they did offer. I'm pretty sure these were all player options here, and they decided they're going to go look elsewhere. I mean, Benintendi had a good season. Green and Chapman was up and down. Taillon was, and so was Castro. Matt Carpenter during the regular season he caught fire really, really quick as soon as he left St. Louis. Zach Britton was on the DL most of the year, or IL, I should say. Marwin Gonzalez, and then obviously the big one, Aaron Judge. He obviously was not hurt all year. This is a lot of their core. I mean, granted, the Benintendi was a trade that they made later in the year. So, I mean, these guys were all. It's going to be hard for this to happen. 2023 Yankees winning the World Series with all of this. So yeah, that's. This will probably be for those of you that don't like baseball, I mean, this is probably going to be the last baseball show for a little bit until we start seeing some free agents. Of course, we're going to have a Judge watch to see where he goes, sign with the Red Sox, and which we've kind of talked about already, and it's been well documented that San Francisco has said no one is going to outbid us on Aaron Judge. We want Aaron Judge. We want him here, and we will get him here no matter the cost. So that's going to be exciting to see where he goes, and good on him for making a lot of money and betting on himself to do that. Let's switch gears here. Let's talk a little college football. Let's talk a little college football. Start here locally. Michigan ends up routing Rutgers, and this was it was 17-14 going into halftime. And Michigan puts up 28 in the third, 10 in the fourth, and Rutgers doesn't score at all in the second half. And let's check the box score here. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, their quarterback Wimstack was 14 of 29, 166 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. During the second half, it looked like he was throwing to the Michigan players rather than his own, which makes it hard to win, even on the road or at home against a Michigan team. And J.J. McCarthy goes 13-27, 151 yards, 2 tuds. Blake Corum does Blake Corum things, 20 carries, 109 yards. And Edwards goes 15 carries, 109 yards. Corum does have the rushing touchdown. And I believe... Yeah, Edwards led the receiving charge here. 3 catches, 53 yards, and a tud. I was at the 2K Estate last night watching this game and the Notre Dame game, which we'll jump into next, and obviously was surrounded by Michigan fans. And kind of the same thing crept up here. I mean, we saw in the first half a totally different team than we did in the second half. And the ability to make adjustments during halftime is key. Don't get me wrong, is key. But what happens if they dig themselves too far of a hole that they can't come back from? And why I bring that up is McCarthy, it doesn't seem like they're allowing him to throw the ball or use his arm as much as I think all of us want to see. Excuse me. We saw Schoonmaker he only had 2 catches. Seems like he threw the ball to Schoonmaker all the time during that game. And the red zone is just atrocious. I mean, you have 2 great running backs, a great offensive line. Yes, I know once you get into the red zone, everything compresses. But you would think that, a team that wants to just pound you into the ground and just impose their will on you would be effective in the red zone. And it wasn't the case. It wasn't the case. And we saw Moody miss two field goals, which is very unlike him. Yes, the weather was especially here in the Midwest, was a storyline, and we saw it at the Notre Dame game. We saw it obviously in Chicago when Ohio State and Northwestern played, and I know New York is not in the Northwest, but there was some wind there too. So even Moody had some hiccups yesterday, which are very, very unlike him. So actually, let me throw this up before we get too far into it. Let's do this one. This is the AP poll. It comes out obviously before Tuesday when the college football rankings come out. But they've got Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4, Tennessee drops to 5, Oregon up to 6. I think that's LSU at 7, USC at 8, UCLA at 9, Bama at 10, Ole Miss 11, Clemson 12, Utah 13, Penn State 14, North Carolina 15, and then on and on and on. Notre Dame is 20th on this poll. And Texas is at 18, it looks like. I know I did make it kind of small, so I do apologize. But for everyone that was up in arms at the first release of the college football rankings poll and said that it was a crock of shit that Clemson was number 4, I do agree. But things tend to have a way to work themselves out. And yeah, when they came into Notre Dame and Notre Dame smacked them in the mouth, yeah, that's kind of eye-opening, especially for a team that was unranked and you were 4th. Yeah, there was. I'm not saying Notre Dame is world beaters by any means, but they handled Clemson very, very easily, and we'll get to that game here shortly. But let's look at this one here. This one's from Dickie V. This one was posted by On3 at On3 Sports, as updated college football AP poll. Got to give credit where credit is due, ladies and gentlemen. But this one's from Dickie V. It says there will be no chatter on as who is number 1 baby in college football. A pure wire-to-wire domination by Georgia football over Tennessee, 27-13. If anyone else is voted as number 1, there will be an intense investigation, baby. Tip the hat to Kirby Smart, staff, players, and fans. 100%, without a doubt, Dickie V. I could not agree more. And if you guys don't follow Dickie V, do please, because he's got a lot of motivational stuff, a lot of good stuff, not just all college basketball. But speaking of college basketball, Dickie V back in the saddle, if you will. coming up again this season. So good on him, and cheers to your ongoing cancer recovery, sir. But yeah, I think that's all the college tweets that I have. So let's jump around here. Let's talk about the Notre Dame game. Let's look at the box score. They win 35-14, and yes, I was rather impressed, but at the same time, a little disappointed because it would have been nice if they did not give up that last garbage time touchdown, because your boy would have won about $350. Because I took the under. I took the under because I thought with the weather and everything, it would be an under type game. But nonetheless, I digress. And DJ Uiagalelei, 27-39, 191 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Drew Pine only throws the ball 17 times, goes 9 for 17, 85 yards and a touchdown. Most of the damage was done on the ground. Will Shipley for Clemson had 12 carries, 63 yards. And Diggs for Notre Dame had 17 carries, 114 yards. Estime, 18 carries, 104 yards and a touchdown. And even Drew Pine himself ran one in, which was good to see. And the lone receiving touchdown for Notre Dame was Michael Mayer. He did set the Notre Dame career touchdown record as a tight end. So congratulations to you, sir. You deserve every honor that you're going to get. And the game started out with Notre Dame blocking a 6th punt of the year. Took that back for a touchdown. Let me reiterate that. They've blocked 6 punts in 8 games. How does that happen? I mean, granted, I'm grateful that it's happening, but that is unbelievable. We saw the defense step up huge. Let's see, how many? We had 7 sacks and gave up 4. No fumbles, no interceptions thrown. We did get 2 interceptions. Because Klubnik came in relief, I think, for just a series for DJ, and he went 0 for 1 with a pick, so that was a very, very short leash. But yeah, very un-Dabo Sweeney. Everything was very, very un-Dabo for this game. But yeah, the Irish do bring home a win 35-14. We will see Tuesday how far Clemson drops from 4. I am leaning towards this here, Clemson would drop out of the top 10. I think that is a very, very good representation of where they should land. Let's talk about some Ohio State at Northwestern. If you're a fan of offense, ladies and gentlemen, you did not click on the correct game. Sorry about that. C.J. Stroud has probably his worst game as a Buckeye. Went 10 for 26, 76 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Williams carries the ball six times for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's see. Yeah, Northwestern only had 79 yards passing and 206 yards rushing. So it was the wind was the biggest player in this game. It was completely and utterly ridiculous how the gusts of wind that were coming through Chicago at that time. So 21-7, Ohio State does bring home the win, but it was 7-7 at halftime. And Northwestern scores in the first quarter and obviously does not score again. So both of the top teams in that Big Ten East race do remain undefeated, which is kind of cool because I really do think, as sports fans, because I do not have a dog in the fight when it comes to that game, but just as sports fans in general, I mean, wouldn't it be cool to see Ohio State and Michigan completely, both of them undefeated, and just have a massive throwdown for that Big Ten East and potentially college football playoff seat? That would be completely amazing. And we'll to save the big one for last. Probably the last game that I watched yesterday was Alabama at LSU. Does go to overtime, and LSU brings home the victory 32-31. And obviously was tied after regulation. Alabama gets the ball first in the overtime. They go down and score, kick the extra point, take a 7-point lead. LSU comes back. I want to say just a handful of plays later, they score. And then Coach Kelly just throws his dick on the table and he's like, yo, boys, we're going for the win. Me and my family, we're going to win this ball game. Which, oddly enough, I keep making fun of his Southern accent. But if you listen to postgame, he didn't have that Southern accent, which I thought was kind of weird. It's kind of funny how that happens. But Bryce Young does what Bryce Young does, 25 of 51, 328 yards in the air, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. JT Daniels, 22 of 23, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Gibbs for Alabama has 15 carries, 99 yards. Daniels for LSU, 18 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown. And it was the Brooks for Alabama had 7 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. And Boot for LSU has 7 catches for 51 yards. And if I'm being completely honest, ladies and gentlemen, I did not watch this entire game. We flipped over right to basically go see it go into overtime. So, I mean, to quote my buddy James growing up, I don't understand why you watch an entire game because they only win at the end. So if you are like James, we actually did that perfectly because we switched over and bam. And we also did that with the World Series game as well. I mean, we had perfect timing. Yeah, that's Alabama's second loss now, so you're going to see them fall. Oh hell, let's get into it. Tennessee at Georgia. We already looked at Dickie V's tweet, and yeah, that's the last college tweet that I have. And this was a dominating effort by Georgia on both offense, defense, and everything surrounded with it. Stetson Bennett goes 17 of 25, 257 yards, and 2 touchdowns. McIntosh leads the way, 10 carries, 52 yards. Bennett does have a 13-yard touchdown run. And McConkey has 5 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. And over on the Tennessee side, Hooker goes 23 of 33, 195 yards and a pick. Wright leads the way with 21 carries, 69 yards and a touchdown. And Tillman has 7 catches for 68 yards. We saw that Georgia defense just dominate this Tennessee offense, which seemed at times leading up to this game almost unstoppable. I mean, these guys were just a wagon that were putting up obscene numbers against everybody. And to come out and only score 13 points, it was 24-6 going into halftime. Georgia only scores 3 points in the second half, but it didn't matter. The score is not indicative on how dominant Georgia was in this game. And Georgia looked good last year, but you're seeing better quarterback play from Stetson Bennett, and which makes this team even more scary. All right. So yeah, this is going to be quite a show going forward to see how Georgia responds after this, because they still have a little bit of their schedule left, including obviously they are going to be playing in the SEC. I think it goes without saying the SEC title game, but it's moving forward. Like Dickie V said, this Georgia team is by far the best team in the nation. And let's see here. USC wins a thriller over Cal, 41-35. Texas upsets Kansas State, 34-27. Here it is. Michigan goes into Illinois. Illinois was ranked 16th. They were 7-2. Well, they are 7-2. Excuse me. They were 7-1. Michigan State was 3-5. Michigan State goes in there and I think completely shocks Illinois. They win 23-15. That was one of the more unexpected results of the weekend, especially after what happened at the Big House and kind of the controversy and everything surrounding that. If you did watch Game Day leading up to that, they did do a little story on that. And basically, they're still not sure if there's going to be criminal charges pressed. So that seems to be like a situation that should be going to bed that isn't. And yeah, we're going to have to wait until Tuesday to see how all these teams pan out, where everybody lands, and kind of where we're going from here. But nonetheless, it is shaping up like an amazing finish to the college football season. Now, getting back to Notre Dame, and I was very, very impressed with what I saw, wondering where this has been all year. I mean, you dog walk the number 4, at the time, the number 4 ranked team in the country. But you lose to a 1-win Stanford team, badly, mind you. But maybe, this is what Coach Freeman needed. He needed to get these things worked out. They're obviously being worked on and improving. I'm excited to see how the season ends. But with that being said, I just have this very weird feeling that they're going to travel to USC and just lay an egg and shit their pants and just look embarrassed, to be honest with you. Yes, I know USC is a very good team, but when you show up like this against the number 4 team in the country, and then to go to USC and to lay an egg would just be it would be heartbreaking, ladies and gentlemen. It really, really would be heartbreaking. So let's switch gears here to the NFL. Big game. Actually, it really wasn't a big slate of games, numbers-wise, because there were 6 teams on a bye this week. And putting together my fantasy team, I really didn't realize that there was 6 teams on a bye this week. So yes, my fantasy team, you talk about fantasy teams, plural. You talk about some cut and paste and just some raggedy-ass rosters to put together. Man, oh man, it's bad. It is bad, but hopefully losing this week will not keep me from the playoffs in both leagues. So fingers crossed, take the L this week and move on. But even though there wasn't a whole, the quantity of games wasn't there, I think we saw the quality of the games, and especially with the 1 o'clock slate. I mean, man, the 1 o'clock slate was just on fire. And I know if you guys clicked on the thumbnail, we're going to talk about it. And we might as well rip the Band-Aid off real quick and just get it over with. Lions fans, you guys have to be ecstatic about this game. Aaron Rodgers comes in, you guys just step on his throat, and excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, the Lions kind of dominated this game. I mean, yes, I know it was only 15-9, and the Packers still had a shot at winning this thing. But this is a game that normally, traditionally, Lions fans, you guys find a way to lose. You invent ways to lose. And I'm sitting there watching this game, and when I don't even know the receiver's name because they're on like wide receiver 9 and 10 over there in Green Bay. Well, old buddy catches the ball, goes down, comes back up, gets tackled, fumbles the ball, and the Lions recover it. However, recover it out of bounds. I'm like, oh, yep, here we go. here we go. This is the beginning of the end of the Lions, and the actually held up. I mean, they held Rodgers fourth and goal, I believe it was, and come home with the W. Come home with the W, which is all. I mean, that is quite impressive, and to do it at home in front of those fans, the fans that I know I've joked about, I've said that you get a ticket to a Lions game with 8 gallons of gas fill up, and I made fun of them last week. I continue to make fun of them. However, let's see here. Let's do this one. Barstool Detroit at BS Motor City. Lions win. Bam. I mean, that sums up everything right there. Right there. The Aaron Rodgers classic meme. That is awesome. That is awesome. And this one here from StatMuse, I just found this guy's account, or this person's account today. And Aaron Rodgers' first 2 drives, red zone interception against the worst defense in the NFL. That's my takeaway out of this whole thing. Not only did the Lions hold the Packers to 9 points, but they are a historically bad defense. And granted, I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense is extremely good by any means, but they went up against a historically bad defense and lost. That is unacceptable. That is completely and utterly unacceptable. So yes, we are going to make fun of them. We are going to, right here, Andy Herman, at Andy Herman. Clearly, we don't know what Rodgers was upset about, but dude, you just threw a ball into the face of a linebacker, which led to the first red zone interception. And it's like, dude, yeah, I mean, getting back, and I don't want to beat this to death, but I think you kind of have to, because it is very, very important for you guys to realize that this was a historically bad defense that, picked Rodgers off 3 times. 3 times. Aaron Rodgers never throws interceptions unless he hits a dude in the face like this. But just a very this is something too that we talked about at the Kaler estate last night, was just trying to get a feel for what's going on there in Green Bay. And I think it was 2K's brought up. He's like, all right, well, maybe this is Aaron saying, you guys think I can kind of cover all the blemishes with how good I am. Well, here's going to be my response, is I'm going to play as good as I can, but you guys are going to see I need help too. And we didn't, the trade deadline came and went. We saw even players move in the division from the Lions to the Vikings. We saw the Bears get better. We saw every team in that division get better. I guess you could include the Lions in that, because you would think they got better by getting rid of Hockenson, and getting picks. They're probably not going to get immediately better by doing that, but we saw two tight ends have their first career touchdown catches today, or first career action or catches. So, and I was, I'm sure Hockenson, or TJ Hockenson, is a very, very nice person. I'm sure he's a very cool person to hang out with. But for the Lions to, I think, reach for him in the draft and get him that high, I think was a waste of a pick. There's many, many other areas of concern that would concern me more if I was the Lions brass than to pick a tight end that high. That being said, they can't even say they got a really good haul for him, because they had to trade him and 2 picks to get, I believe it was a second or third round pick and 2 more picks. So essentially, I want to say it was a third round pick. So essentially, you turn one of your first round picks into a third round pick. Doesn't make any sense to me, but if you are a Vikings fan, you are grinning ear to ear, because that team just got a whole lot better with a good player but not the, I want to say he was picked number 5 overall or something ridiculous like that. No, not doing it. But getting back to the Packers, it's, did I put this one? Yeah. Jeff Schwartz, at Jeff Schwartz, the Packers lead the NFL in almost acquiring players. And this was it was a retweet from Adam Schefter, at Adam Schefter, which I'm pretty sure every sports fan on earth knows who Adam Schefter is. But the Green Bay Packers made aggressive attempts to acquire Pittsburgh Steelers receiver Chase Claypool, as well as Las Vegas Raiders tight end Darren Waller, league sources told ESPN. And that is the Packers' seasons last 5 years. Is Jeff's right. The Packers lead the league in almost acquiring players. And we're seeing teams go out and move and shake more than we've ever seen before, where they're almost disregarding their draft picks to bring in proven talent and build their teams that way. And we're seeing Green Bay not trade, keep their draft picks, but don't turn their draft picks into valuable players. And we kind of talked about it a little bit too. Is like I'm sure it's harder to deal with things in on the day to day because they don't have an owner. The Packers are they're owned by shareholders. Yes, there's a president, but in my opinion, it would be harder for a group to get together to all agree or even majority vote agree to do X, Y, and Z to make this team better. So I think we're going to see a lot more stuff come out about this and about the the state of the Packers, because winning cures all, ladies and gentlemen. If you're winning, a lot of this stuff doesn't happen. A lot of this stuff isn't publicized, and a lot of this stuff is not scrutinized. But because they aren't winning, and you lost to the 1-win Lions, the Lie-Downs, you are going to see a lot of folks up in arms about this one. Excuse me. And like I mentioned, the Bears get better, but yet trade their top 2 defensive players away, and then add Chase Claypool, which I've always been a big Claypool fan, Notre Dame guy. I was thoroughly impressed with what he did as a Notre Dame receiver. But the Dolphins come into town, and the Bears almost won this. Now, we're going to see Claypool only has 1 catch for 4 yards. That was a rush, excuse me. He had 2 catches for 13 yards, 1 rush for 4 yards. So he's only really contributed on 3 plays. And the 2 pieces they traded away on defense, that defense gave up 35 points to the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins scoring in bunches is nothing new, ladies and gentlemen. When Tua is healthy and seeing straight, and Tua goes 21 to 30, 302 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The run game was led by newly acquired Jeff Wilson Jr., 9 carries, 51 yards, and the big star of the show, as always, it seems like this was the pickup of the offseason, ladies and gentlemen. Tyreek Hill, 7 catches, 143 yards and a touchdown, and Jalen Waddle, 5 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. And I don't know if I showed the tweet or not, but with these, when the 49ers traded up to draft, forgot his name. You guys know who I'm talking about. They got back a bunch of picks, including the ones that they used to trade for Tyreek Hill, were able to draft Jalen Waddle, and to trade to get Chubb over to this team at the trade deadline. So Trey Lance, that's his name, excuse me. So if you think about it this way, the Dolphins could either have Trey Lance or Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Chubb. I think I know which one or which package I would prefer. I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all are with me too. Yeah, the Bears lose 35-32. And I know there's no attaboy trophies or, moral wins in the NFL. I get that, but this team isn't terrible. Isn't terrible at all. I think we're seeing the coaching staff kind of put the playbook around Justin Fields and go, it seems easy to us, but to play for his strengths. And we're seeing him run the ball a whole lot more. I mean, he goes 17-28, 123 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and no interceptions. And has 15 carries, 178 yards, and 1 touchdown, which, if you look here, this is from FanDuel. It says Justin Fields is special. The record was previously set by Michael Vick in December 2002. And for the little print down there that you can't see, that's the 178 yards. So Justin Fields today set the record for most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single game. We wouldn't think Justin Fields would have this record. Obviously, it was Michael Vick's record for quite a long time, 20 years, almost 20 years. So this isn't something that I think as Bears fans we even thought was possible with Justin Fields. Now, is this going to be something you want to do every game? I think longevity-wise, probably not a good idea. But as of right now, I mean, keep doing what you're doing, because 32 points is going to win you a lot of ball games. You just can't give up 35 and win. But this Dolphins team is a wagon, is an absolute wagon. And while we're here, let's check this one out. This is from Ian Rappaport. At Rap Sheet, the Cowboys have wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. in their sights, sources say. After attempting to acquire a speedy wide receiver before the trade deadline, Dallas turns its focus to the top free agent available. OBJ in Dallas. That would be rather special and rather heartbreaking for some of the other teams that were hoping they would acquire OBJ. But yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool, especially if you're a Cowboys fan. I know I can see the gears turning with 2Ks and the Thornburg crew as to how they're we dem boys. But the Chargers pick up a win in Atlanta, 20-17, and Bengals. I mean, this was something unprecedented. Baker Mayfield goes 14-20, 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. No picks for Baker, which is huge. PJ Walker had been on a tear, and he goes 3 of 10, 9 yards and 2 picks, which I didn't watch a minute of this game, so I'm just assuming that PJ started, looked like shit, so they brought in Baker. I mean, this was. Let's see here. This was 35. 35 to nothing at halftime. 35-0 at half. Burrow goes 22-28, 206 yards and a touchdown. But the star of this show is Joe Mixon. He has 22 carries, 153 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Burrow also has a rushing touchdown. But Mixon also has 4 carries, 58 yards and a touchdown. Dude scores 5 touchdowns today. 5 touchdowns today. And this was something that I was going to look up before the show and got sidetracked here. But let me see. Just looking for a giant number to see what Mixon had here. And what would really be funny is if someone had him on the bench. Because that number is huge. Yeah. in the podcast league, he had 76 points. 76 points. Mr. Jeremy Warren, congratulations on that victory, my friend. But yeah, that was huge. That was absolutely huge. And what's not huge is Carolina. Carolina stinks. They're 2-7. Still curious how they got 2 wins, but that's neither here nor there. And speaking of teams that stink, Colts go to New England and lose 26-3. This there was and I should have grabbed that tweet, but Pat McAfee tweeted this Colts team is hard to watch. And they really are. Ellinger goes, and there's always that stat with rookie quarterbacks or first time starters against Bill Belichick, and should have known right out the gate this wasn't going to be a good day for Mr. Ellinger. He goes 15 to 29, 103 yards and a pick, was sacked 9 times. Mac Jones goes 20 of 30, 147 yards and a touchdown. Ellinger leads the rushing attack because they were without Jonathan Taylor again today. Five rushes, 5 carries, 39 yards. Ramondre Stevenson has 15 carries, 60 yards. And yeah, Michael Pittman Jr. has 3 catches for 22 yards. And it's not, unless you are a Kansas City or it's never really good if your tight end leads the receiving effort, but Hunter Henry has 4 catches for 50 yards. Just a snoozer of a game. I mean, both of these teams are not good, which leads me to my next tweet here. This is from Barstool Indy, at Barstool Indy. Colts Patriots then versus Colts Patriots now, and it shows Peyton Brady, and Peyton is Sly Stallone, and Brady is Grogich, I believe it is, from Rocky. And then we see 2 kids just play fighting, Jones and Ellinger. Yeah, these 2 teams stink. They are, if you are a fan of either of them, and big shout out Scott over at Johnny's, I do know that you are my resident Colts fan, and I do apologize because you are, it's probably not fun. Football probably is not fun right now. It probably is not fun. The Jets get a big win over the Bills, 17, excuse me. That was Josh Allen had, I'm pretty sure, almost 100 yards rushing. Talk about, and the Vikings come back to win against the Commanders. Against the Commanders, that's 20-17. They're still 7-1, and good on the Commanders for all of this controversy surrounding your owner and that whole situation, for you guys to actually show up and to keep the Vikings to only 20 points. I mean, that team's a wagon. And they are, them and it looks to be them, the Cowboys, and the Eagles are the only teams on the NFC side that looks to even compete with any of the teams on the AFC side. Excuse me. We'll kind of glaze over the Raiders and Jags because these 2 teams stink too. Jags pick up a win 27-20. The big story here was ETN goes for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, as well as Devontae Adams has 10 catches, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And after a very pedestrian game last week where he had, I think, 1 catch for 9 yards or something stupid like that, comes back in a big way, but unfortunately in a losing effort. Seahawks at Cardinals. Let's take a look at that one. Geno Smith has a big day, 26 for 34, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Kyler, 25 for 35, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker keeps doing it. He has 26 carries. The rookie has 26 carries, 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Kyler leads the way, 8 carries for 60 yards over on the the Arizona side. And the Seahawks come away with a 31-21 victory, which is huge. And yeah, that's that further extends their lead in the division. And then lastly, another snoozer of a game. The Rams go into Tampa, and Tommy drives down the field, rips their hearts out, 16-13. Basically, his time expires. And Eagles get a big win on Thursday, and the score of, looks like it's a field goal fest over in Kansas City. The Chiefs lead the Titans 9-0. Both teams are at 5-2. Pardon me. Two very, very different offensive styles there, ladies and gentlemen. A ground and pound versus we're going to throw the ball to every single person on our roster and run it a couple times. So very different style there. I was curious to, okay. Malik Willis is starting in place of Tannehill, and this can't be right. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this can't be right. Let me refresh this. Yeah, there's no way they've only run 5 plays. And, well, it is the start of the second quarter, so maybe that is true. But yeah, I was just checking to see if Malik Willis was starting, and he is. And so you're getting back to diverse and very, very different styles here. Malik Willis is not going to be throwing nearly as much as Mr. Mahomes, and Derrick Henry is going to be running the ball a whole lot more as compared to the backfield in Kansas City. So that wraps up the NFL talk here. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about baseball ending. We talked about how the Packers stink, how the Lions look good today. Did they look perfect? Absolutely not. But one thing that I did want to bring up, and I don't believe I've talked about it, is I kind of teased it at the beginning and then totally bypassed it and totally went off radar here. But before I do get out of here, I do want to mention this is with the Phillies. If you want to talk about a team who took advantage of the rule changes as good as you could, you're looking at a team that, the obvious thing is the new playoff structure. They were the last team on the National League side that got in. If you look back to the old structure, they wouldn't have made the playoffs at all. But with the new playoff changes, they were the last seed, the number 6 seed, I believe it is, and made the most of it. Made their way to the World Series, pushed it to Game 6, and yeah, they did what you're supposed to do. But even take the rule change a little bit further. The universal DH, and this team benefited the most out of any other team in the National League by having the universal DH. And I'm not saying the universal DH is bad or that the Phillies did something that they shouldn't, because they maximized and used the rules to their advantage. And what I'm getting at is Bryce Harper did not play the outfield from the time he came back from the thumb injury all season. He was the DH. If this was the last year, would it have taken him longer to come back? Probably. Would he have played it in as many games? Probably not. So the Phillies were very advantageous in their run, using the current rule structure to their absolute advantage. So good on you, Philly. And I was wondering if we would see a difference. We would see if any team had an advantage over the other teams with the DH. And we saw the Phillies use that to their advantage. So good on them. I was I'll be the first to admit, was rooting for the Phillies just because I am not an Astros guy. And it was kind of cool to see, obviously, some new teams in there. It's always good to see the Yankees not be in there. So, yeah, I'm kind of excited to see how the universal DH plays out and how other teams can use it to their advantage and use it to best suit them. And with the new play, please, for the dear Lord, please do not add more teams to the baseball playoff. I think we're at our limit. Because the one sport that should put the most on the regular season, because they have the most games in the regular season, is baseball. So we don't need to see any more teams in. Yes, the bottom seed made it to the World Series on the National League side this year. Does that mean we need to add more? Nope. I think we're good. And speaking of good, I think I'm good. My insulin pump alarm is going off, so I do need to go refill that. But ladies and gentlemen, have a great week. I will see you again next week. And until then, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.